Hello everyone, myself Simran from Team CloudyML and I welcome you back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, I've brought a new Python interview question for you, and today's interview question is asked by the company Netflix. So let's begin, and before beginning with the main question, let's answer a quiz, very easy quiz that you need to answer before beginning with the main question. So the question is, what will be the value of the following Python expression? Okay. So you have given a mathematical expression using various Python arithmetic operations, and you need to give the answer for this expression. So if you know the answer, do put it down in the comment section. Okay. And I'll give the answer to this question till in the end of the video. So stay tuned if you want to know the answer for this question. And if you already know the answer, then you can directly put it down in the comment section. So let's begin with the main question. Given an unsorted integer list of numbers, return the first missing positive integer. So in this question, you're going to be given a list of numbers which is unsorted, and you need to return the first missing positive integer. So let's understand the question with the help of an example. So if you see in this example, we have an input list, which is nums. We have the numbers like 1, 3, -5, 0, 2, and -1. And from this, the output is 4. So how come the output is 4? So if you see in this numbers, the positive numbers are 1, 2, and 3. Others are negative numbers, which are -5 and -1, and 1, 0 is also present. So 0 is neither positive nor negative. So that is why we don't count it in positive numbers. So 1, 2, and 3. After 1, 2, and 3, the positive number that comes in the list is 4. So that is why the output is 4. Okay. So we need to find out the first missing positive integer. Suppose here, instead of 4, if we would have, instead of 2, if we had 4, then the output will be 2. Because the first missing positive integer in the sequence will be 2. Correct? So let's see how to solve this question. For that, I'm using Google Colab. You can use any other compiler, Python compiler that you want. Let's begin by defining a function of the name first missing positive. Okay, and this function will simply accept the parameter nums, which is our input list. After first defining, we will be finding out the length of this nums, okay, which will be the number of integers or the number of elements in this list. And then we will first check if 1 is not in nums, so 1 not in nums, then we will return 1, because as we know that in any sequence of numbers, the number 1 is the first positive number, correct? In natural number sequence, the number 1 is the first positive number. So that is why, according to our question, if 1 is not present in the list, then obviously 1 should be the answer, because it is the first positive number and it is missing from the list. So that is why if 1 is not present in the list, so we will simply return 1 and our execution will break automatically. But if 1 is present, so we will move ahead with the code. So for I in range n, we will be iterating to the length of the list, and we will check if nums of I, okay, we will be checking if it is less than equal to 0, which means it is negative or equal to 0, and if it is greater than this total number, which is n. Okay, if it is greater than the list or it is smaller than 0. If it is so, then it will be replaced with 1 equals 1. Okay, so what we are doing is, if the number is a negative number, this means simply that the number is a negative number, because negative numbers are less than 0. So we will be replacing the number with 1. Also, if the number is greater than n. Okay, if the number is greater than n, then also we will replace it with 1. Wait, this will be or, not and. Okay, so if the number is smaller than 0 or equal to 0, which means if the number is negative or the number is greater than the length of the list, then it will be replaced with 1. Okay, after completing this for loop, another for loop will be run. So for I in range n, in this for loop, what we are going to do is we are going to simply replace all the numbers with the absolute number. I'll show you how, and we will also I will also explain the implementation as well. So first, let's find out the absolute. Absolute means we are not going to consider the negative or positive part of the numbers. Suppose this number is -5. So after performing absolute, it will return +5 only. Okay, it will eliminate the negative part. If this a is equal to the length n, then the first number in the list will be replaced to the negative of absolute. Okay, it will be replaced with the negative number. So nums of 0. But else, if such condition is not satisfied, that if a is equal to n, then we will be replacing the 8th element. Okay, the 8th element with the minus absolute of this 8th element. Okay, now after completing this for loop, another for loop has to be run for checking now if the numbers are greater than 0, and we will be displaying the first number which is greater than 0. So 1 comma n. If nums of I is greater than 0, then we are going to simply return I. Okay. After completing this for loop, we will be going with another condition, because in this code we have numerous conditions, correct? So all these for loops and if loops are present for different conditions. And if nums of 0 is greater than n or is greater than 0, which means if the first element is positive, then we will simply return the n. Okay. And now what we are going to return, if all these conditions are false, then simply n plus 1. If all the conditions are false, then the final condition or the final value that will be returned is n plus 1. Run this to create the function, the definition, and let's print. First, let's check the output, what type of output we are getting. So print missing, the function name is print missing positive. And let's give the input same as we have in our sample input in our example. 1, 3, -5, 0, 2, -1. Okay, so 1, 3, -5, 0, 2, and -1. Sorry, it will be -1. So run this. So you see we get the output as 4, which is also our expected output. Okay, so the code is correct. Now let's understand the code in detail. What all steps are performed. Let's understand it in detail. So first let's write down the list again, so that we can execute it properly. So nums, the list is nums. Just a second. Okay. Nums equal to we had 1, 3, -5, then we had 0, 2, -1. Correct? So this was the list that we have. Now the first step in the definition is to find out the length of 1 or the length of list. Okay, so the length of list will be n, and here the length, as you can see, is 6. So the value of n is 6. After finding the length of list, we check if 1 is not in nums. So if we see, then 1 is present in nums, correct? The step was if 1 is not in nums, so this is 1, then we perform the operation, but 1 is present in nums. So if condition is not satisfied, we don't go in the if loop. Now we run a for loop for I in range n. Okay, so for this for loop, I'll write it over here, for I in range n, which means 6. Correct? Let's begin with the iteration. So the first iteration, I will be 0. 0. Correct? Because this will begin from 0 up till 5. So I is 0, and what action we have to perform? If we have to check if nums of I is less than equal to 0. So nums of I in this case will be 1, because the first element in the list is 1. It is not less than equal to 0, it is greater than 0. Okay, so the if condition is not satisfied. Okay, also nums of I is not, we need to check this condition also, which is the OR condition. In this you check whether the nums of I is greater than n, but 1 is not greater than 6. So if condition is not satisfied. Okay, so we don't perform any action over here. So the first iteration is done. Let's move ahead with the second iteration of the first for loop. So next value will be 1. Okay, I value is 1. We will again check whether nums of I, which is 3. 3 is not less than equal to 0. Also 3 is not greater than 6. So this is also not satisfied. This for loop, this if loop will also not be performed. Next iteration, I will be 2, correct? So nums of 2, your nums of 2 is minus 5. And as we know, minus 5 is less than 0, correct? So what action we need to perform? Let's see. We have to replace nums of I with 1. So now the new nums of I, which is 2, will be 1. So our new list formed will be 1, 3, nums of 2, which means this position is replaced with 1, 0, 2, minus 1. Okay, so this iteration is complete. Let's move ahead with the fourth iteration. I is equals to 3, and nums of 3 in this case is 0. So as you know, 0 is equal to 0 if condition is satisfied. So what we have to do, we have to replace the nums of 3 with 1. So again we will be updating our nums list. So 1, 3, 1. Next we will have 1 again, 2 and minus 1. Okay, let's move ahead with the fifth iteration, wherein I will be 4. And now nums of 4 is 2, but 2 is not less than equal to 0. Also 2 is not greater than 6. So nothing will be performed. Next iteration, I is equals to minus 1. Sorry, I is equals to 5. So nums of 5 is equals to minus 1. And as we know, minus 1 is less than 0. So what we will perform? We will substitute nums of 5 as 1. So the new nums now that we get, so the new nums will be 1, 3, 1, 1, 2 and minus 1 will be replaced with 1. Just a second. So yes, minus 1 will be replaced with 1 because this was the fifth element. Okay, the fifth index element. So this is our new updated nums. What we have done in this nums, we have simply replaced all the negative numbers with positive ones. So this is our new nums. I've highlighted it so that we can use it further. Okay, now let's move ahead with the code. What we have to do now is, again, we have to run a for loop, this code, okay? We have to run a for loop and find out the absolute of nums of I. So let's perform it step by step again. Okay, so the first iteration in this case, for I in range 6, right? So I first will be 0. And what we need to find out, A absolute of nums of I, correct? Yes, nums of I. So your nums of 0 is nothing but 1. Absolute of 1 will be 1. Next, what we need to do, if A is equals to N, we need to find out if A is equals to N. A here is 1, but 1 is not equal to 6. So if condition will not be satisfied, and we will go to the else condition. In the else condition, we need to replace the nums of A with the absolute value of nums of A, with the negative absolute. Okay, so here nums of A has to be replaced with the negative absolute of nums of A. So here nums of A, as we see, A is 1. So nums of 1 is 3. And 3 has to be replaced with minus 3. Okay, nums of A has to be replaced with the minus 3 value. So our new nums will be 1, minus 3, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so this iteration is complete. Let's move ahead with the second iteration, where I will be 1. Okay, after I is 1, what we will do, again find out the absolute of nums of I. Here nums of I, which is nums of 1. So A will be absolute value of nums of 1 here is minus 3. Correct? So the A value will be 3. Because what absolute does, it cancel out this minus 3. Okay. Now we will check if A is equals to N, but 3 is not equal to N, which is 6. So if condition will not be satisfied, we will go to the else condition. In the else condition, the nums of A has to be replaced with the minus absolute of nums of A. Correct? So here, the nums of A, which will be nums of 3. Nums of 3 in this case is 1. So this element will be replaced with the minus absolute of nums of 3, which is 1. So it will be replaced with minus 1. So the new nums that we get is 1, minus 3, 1. Nums of 3, which will, this position will be replaced with minus 1. Then 2, 1. This iteration is complete. We will go ahead with the next iteration, wherein the I value will be 2. So again, we will find out the A, which is absolute of nums of 2. Here, nums of 2 will be this 1, correct? So A will be 1. Again, we will perform the same steps. If 1 is not equal to 6, this condition will not be satisfied. So we go to the else condition. In the else condition again, what we do is we substitute nums of A. So nums of 1 will be substituted with minus absolute of nums of 1. Okay, so our answer will be minus absolute of nums of 1 here is minus 3. Correct? So the answer will remain as minus 3. And there would be no changes in the list, okay, because minus 3 is already present. Correct? So the list will be as it is. Now we will move ahead with the next iteration, which is the iteration number 4. Iteration number 4, wherein the I value will be 3. Again, find out the absolute of nums of 3. Okay, in this case, nums of 3 will be, see, 0, 1, 2, 3. So nums of 3 will be minus 1. So absolute of minus 1 will be 1. So value of a is 1. What we will do? If will be checked, but 1 is not equal to 6. So if is not performed, then else the nums of 1 will be replaced with minus absolute of nums of 1. Okay, so now the current nums of 1 is minus 3. So minus 3 will be remaining as 3. So the list will also not change. Nums will be kept as 1, minus 3, 1, minus 1, 2 and 1. Correct? Now the fifth iteration wherein I will be 4. The value of I is 4. Then we will find out the A wherein it will be absolute of nums of 4. Now the fourth element is nums of 4. Now the fourth element is 2. Correct? So A will be 2. Then 2 is not equal to 6 if condition is not satisfied. So we go to the else condition. In the else condition, what will happen? The nums of 2 will be getting replaced with the negative absolute of nums of 2. Correct? The negative absolute of nums of 2, first the nums of 2 is 1. So it will be getting replaced with minus 1. So the new nums will be 1, minus 3. This is the second position, correct? This is the second position. So it will be replaced with minus 1. Then again minus 1, 2 and 1. This iteration is complete. Move ahead with the next iteration wherein I value will be 5. Okay, then we will find out the absolute again, which will be nums of 5. Here the fifth element is 1. So it will be 1. A will be 1. 1 is not equal to 6. So if condition is not satisfied, go to the else condition. In the else condition again nums should be replaced with minus absolute of nums of 1. So it will simply get replaced with nums of 1 here is minus 3. Correct? So minus 3 will remain minus 3 only because we take this negative. So that is why the list will also remain as it is. So it will be 1, then minus 3, minus 1, minus 1, 2 and 1. Okay, so this is our new updated list after performing all of the iterations. Okay, now see, we have performed all the iterations in the current for loop and this is the updated list. Let's check what is the next step after this. We have completed this code block. Let's move ahead with the next for loop wherein we perform the iteration from 1 to n. Okay, so let's begin the iteration again. So the loop is for I in range 1, n. So it will begin from 1 in this case and not from 0. So the first iteration will be I is equals to 1. And what we need to do? If we need to check that if nums of I is greater than 0. So check if nums of I, which is 1, is greater than 0. So if we see nums of I over here is 3, but 3 is not greater than equal to 0. So then the if condition is not satisfied. Move ahead with the next iteration where I is equals to 2. Okay, again check if nums of 2 is greater than 0. Nums of 2 here is minus 1, which is not greater than 0. If condition is not satisfied. Move ahead. I is equals to 3. So again, if we see, then nums of 3, which is nums of 3 here is minus 1. Okay, so minus 1 is not greater than 0 if condition is not satisfied. So fourth iteration, I is equals to Again, we will find out nums of 4 is greater than 0. Here nums of 4 is 2. Correct? This is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 2, if we see 2 is greater than 0. So our if condition is satisfied. So what we need to return? We need to return the value of I. So return I. Whenever you find out a return statement in any of the definition, then the code block or the definition comes to an end, because return is the final statement to any code block. So we return the value of I. The current value of I is 4. So we return the value 4. So this is our final output, which is 4. And if you see, then our output is also 4 for the code, for the example that we have used. So after finishing this return, it won't perform the for loop for further operations, for further elements, because after returning any value in a definition, the definition comes to an end. So it will also not perform any of these operations. Okay. If it hadn't found out any values from this, if condition was not satisfied for any of the numbers, then it would have come to this next if. But we found out a condition that satisfies this, so that is why we return the value as 4. Okay, so I hope you've understood this execution completely. You can go through the video multiple times, and you can also ask any doubts if you have in the comment section. We will solve the doubts. Okay, we will solve the doubts thoroughly. And okay, so this was the code that we did for the question given, and I hope you've understood the code and the implementation as well. So before ending the video, I'll give you the answer for the question, for the quiz that I had asked before. So if you see, then we need to follow precedence rule between these operators. So the rule is that the modulo operator has greater precedence than the or the addition operator. Okay, so if you find out first the modulo between 3 and 5, so the value that you get will be obviously 3, because 3 is not divisible by 5. I'll show you. The expression is 4 plus 3 modulo 5. So if you divide 3 by 5, so definitely you will get the value as 3. So what you will do, 4 plus 3. The answer for this will be 3, and 4 plus 3 will be nothing but 7. So the answer that you get is the option number 3, which is 7. You need to follow the precedence of between operators, and in this case, modulo has greater precedence as compared to the addition. So the answer that you get is the third option, which is number 7. So I hope you've understood the quiz and also the code, the problem and the code, as well as the implementation. And thank you for watching this video. Keep supporting us, like the video, share it, and also subscribe the channel. Thank you. Thank you.